Priya,
Yes, ma'am.
start from
Yes, ma'am. Pleasant morning and welcome back, participants. It's my pleasure to see you all for the fourth day of this AICTE Friday FGP on Kotlin, the next frontier in metaprogramming. Today, we'll be having sessions on Android lifecycle management and background task, followed by a stress management session. Our first session is about Android lifecycle management and background task in Kotlin. I feel so contented to introduce our resource person, Dr. K. Kausalya ma'am, Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering at Konga Engineering College, Perundurai, to this session. She has an academic experience of 23 years and research experience of 11 years. Her area of specialization include cloud computing and deep learning. She has organized 16 seminars and workshops, presented papers in 16 national conferences and 26 international conferences, and her articles have been published in 42 international journals. In addition, she has four notable projects for consultancy and received many awards, which include Elizabeth Gold in NPTEL Online on Joy of Python Programming, longest continuous SBC award in Computer Society of India for 3 consecutive academic years, and the Best Faculty Award 2003-2000 in Computer Science and Engineering at Congo Engineering College. Today, it gives me profound pleasure to invite you for this session, ma'am. With much honor, I request you to take up the session, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Good morning, one and all present here. So here today our topic is Android Kotlin Lifecycle Management Background Task. I am Dr. K. Kausalya, Professor. I am working in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering in Congo Engineering College for past 23 years. So now we will start our session. So actually, before going into the Android Kotlin lifecycle management and background task, so why we want to learn the application lifecycle? What is the need for studying this particular lifecycle? So is it needed for developing an app? So here, so why we need this application lifecycle? So at the maximum, a normal small developer, so we are not at all worried about the life cycle, application life cycle. But why we need this? So here, without knowing the knowledge of, for if you are a developer, application developer, so if you are not knowing the details of application life cycle, it will affect our application. Because for example, you have to take two applications, so you both are having the same functionality. So initially, the application one is assumed that application one is very popular in the world or in our country. But the battery usage for that particular application is 97% or so high. Assume that it is very high. So another application is developed by some other person, the same functionality, but the battery usage is minimum as compared to that of the previous one. Means, so initially the users are using this application one, all are for some time, all are moved from this application one to automatically the users are willing to select this application two. So that is this means the second application, the developer know the application life cycle. So if you know the application life cycle, if you are a developer, so if we know the application life cycle, then we are developing an efficient application. So if this application life cycle, if you not knowing the knowledge of application life cycle, it not affect the working of the application. but it affects the developer. That means if the application is take battery wise, it is take long, means it automatically the interested persons are moved to the application too. That means, so without knowing the proper knowledge of application life cycle, so the battery usage is high. So because we don't know about when we want to use the resource, when we want to release the resource, these details are very well known. Only we know the application life cycle. So that means without knowing the application life cycle, excuse me. So here, without knowing the application life cycle, that means it is possible for crashing. So that means our application, some of the applications, if you try to run, sometimes it is crashed. We don't know. So we are a initial developer. So we have to try to develop an application. So the application may be crashed for some of the reasons, but we don't know what is the reason. So because we don't know about the application life cycle, so that may be some reasons behind that for crashing that our application. So if our application is used by many users, it is published in the app store, so many users using our application, means if it is crashed, so it create a bad impression for our app. So automatically the users not select our application if we have to newly launch the new applications. So what are all the things happen if we know the lifetime? So if we know the lifetime, so that is the memory taken by the application. So we have to minimize, if you need it, so we have to minimize the memory taken by the applications. Then we know how many memories are available in the system, how we have to efficiently use. So that is also how important from the perspective of the user. So only the minimum utilization of memory. That means the users prefer that applications. Then we will take from how long it has been run, since the user is not used that application. So once the user select some other applications, it is go back, means, so if our applications are having lot of resources in our applications, but it is in the background, means it creates a bad impression of our application. So for these reasons, we want to learn the application life cycle. So next one is that is developing an application. So if you,
Kausalya, ma'am.
ma'am,
Ma'am, sorry for the disturbance, ma'am. Your first slide only visible, ma'am.
oh, now, ma'am, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So just why we want to learn the applications. So that means here, if I want to avoid crashing, then we know the knowledge about how much memory we have to use, when we have to release the resource, all the things, how long we want to hold the resources when our applications is in the background. So these things are known. Only we have to know the application life cycle. So now we have to develop developing an applications from the developer point of view. What are all the things we want to remember? So we want to hold only the applications resources. So that is in use. If it is not in use, that services may and resources may be immediately released. So if you do that, it automatically reduce the battery usage. Then we have to know the application states. So what are all the different type of application states available in our Android app? So there, then only we have to use that different stages then and there whenever we have to need it. So we have to do that. Then we have to release, we are ready to release the resources when the app is in the background state. So we are having different type of application states are available. If our applications move to background, in that case, we have to release the application. So now we go for the application life cycle. So we know that Kotlin is a multitasking. So that means it is used to perform more than one task at a time. So that is, it may be run sequential, but we feel it is running multitasking. So that means at any particular time of incidence, only one app can be running state, and other app may be in the background state and do something. So that is Kotlin main advantage is the multitasking. So here, as compared to computer, the main disadvantage is Android device has only limited amount of space and processing speed. So for that case only, our applications must be release the resources then and there if it is not needed. So to give better experience to user, so that is if our app is not used any resources for a long period of time, then that means if the resources our application want to wait for some action, means automatically that process maybe go to the background stage, then only the resource usage may be minimum. So here, how we have to achieve that? That is, we want to move our applications from back to front, front to back. These things are achieved with the help of the queue. So that is called LRU catch. So that is, we have to achieved with the help of the least recently used catch. So how it is used this? So this Android already I mentioned that the Android device has limited storage capacity and processing speed. So here the many applications are running in our device. So how we have to manage the resources? This is achieved with the help of least recently used catch. So how we have to use the least recently used catch? So here we are having, they have to maintain a queue. So that is a front queue and back queue. So here we have to maintain the, that is, for example, for a queue, we are having 2 pointer. So one pointer pointing to front, another pointer pointing to back edge. So whenever we have to use a application, that application is always in the back queue. So if it is no longer used, that application is in the back of the, that is front of the queue. So if you want to remove some of the application, means which applications is no longer used for a long time, that applications may be removed from the catch. For example, the user using these 5 applications, that is, first they have to use a Facebook, then they have to use a WhatsApp, email, Clubhouse. Currently, they have to assume that they have to use a Instagram. So in that case, the queue may be like this. The front, that is which one is used very long, that is that application is in background, but it is in the front of the queue. So that is currently used thing is available in the back of the queue, that is most recently used. So in this case, now if the user, assume that the user now go back using the home button, that is they have to minimize this Instagram and go to the WhatsApp status. So WhatsApp, then they have to check some messages, something like that. Automatically, so this WhatsApp is come to the back of the queue. So now assume that now our memory is full. So the device want to select that process, that OS Android want to select some app, want to remove. So in that case, they have to select the Facebook and remove. That means least recently used application is removed from the catch. So that is the things here, they have to maintain the LRU catch. So here they have to maintain the LRU catch is used to manage the resources. So here it is used, the applications not used for very long time, that is available at the front of the queue. So again, if the applications come into use in the near time, that will be put it into the back of the queue. So if the application is most recently used, means that is always available in the back of the queue. So if it is needed. If you want to remove some of the resources, or some of the applications, it automatically remove that least recently used application from the cache. So in this way, the Android device, so they have to remove some of the applications from the app that not affected by the user's view. So the next one is, next we want to know the priority of the processes. So which more processors are running in the background of the background or foreground of the Android device. Now we want to know the priority of the processes. So what are all the different type of priorities of each and every more than one process available? So that is, we want to select one of the process, means here they have to use the priority. So that means we want to maintain the process and memory management. So the Android device want to kill the process. So here the operating system maintaining a hierarchy. So that is the each and every process want to place within that order of their priority. So least priority process may be killed first, then free up if you want to free up some resources. So if we want to free up some resources, so they have to select the from the least priority, then they have to within that they have to select which applications is in the front of the queue, then which applications having the least priority. So that things may be select and they have to kill first. So the processed state may be decide the priority of the process based on the running state of the application. So the priority is fixed with the help of the process state. Now we want to know what are all the different type of process status. Now we want to know what are all the different type of process status. If you want to run a process, the process may be a foreground process or visible process, service process, background process, or empty process. So 5 different priorities to process states are available. So if you want to run any process or any application, the application may be in any one of these status. It may be any one of the state. It may be a foreground, or it may be visible, or it may be a service, background, or empty process. Now we want to know how each and every applications is in which state. So here the priority of this thing is, so foreground process is the higher priority, then the visible process, service process, background process, and finally empty processes. The empty processes having the lower priority as compared to the foreground process and visible process. If the user want, that is if the Android device want to select some processes, so that means they have to select the least priority process. If there is any empty processes are there, so they have to select that empty processes and they want to remove from the Android device. But empty processes means this does not hold any resources or memory at the maximum time. So empty processes just occupy only low amount of memory. But it is the lower priority. If the Android device want to select any process it want to remove from the Android device, means it first identify any empty processes are there, first it remove that, then it go to the select the background processes. So in the background processes, which one have the lower priority, that means which are in the LRU, from the LRU cache which is in the front of the queue, and also the priority. So depending upon the priority it select. So the process priority is like this. So that means the empty process and background process have the lower priority. So the Android devices select these cases so that these apps to remove from the device. Next one is a service process and visible process, active process. So that is if you try to remove these active processes, means the user feel your system is hang, your Android, your application, their application is hang, or their application is invisible, something like that. So these category, if you try to remove the active process, means the user feel very bad, because it is a critical priority. That means it is a very high priority as compared to the remaining things. How we have to know which one is active process, which one is visible process, which one is service, background and empty process? So now, what is foreground process? So the foreground process is nothing but it is a currently interacting and using it. So the user currently interacted with some application. For example, if you have to write adding of two numbers for the application, you have to develop an application like that. Assume that you have to write an application for adding of two numbers using Kotlin programming. So now you have to create two text box and buttons. You have to create something and you have to run. In that case, so you have to get give some numbers. So that case, that current sheet is in the active. So that is that process is called currently which process, which application is interacted with the user. So that is called the foreground processes. That is, if the process running in an active, so that is the user is interactive. So that is one case. Another one is it may be in the background, but it is a broadcast receiver. So that is some application send some messages. So it is in background, but it is receiving the broadcast receiver send some information. So that is, it act as our app is act as a background broadcast receiver, something like that. If currently receiving something and they have to do any system update, means that is also considered for the foreground process. Now here, that is, it is a foreground process means active activity. That means currently the user is interactive, or it may be not in, the user is not interactive, but the service or that app may be receive something from some or broadcasting some activity, some something is getting the receiver, then it do some updation. So here it is an example. Now imagine if the user is using a WhatsApp. So that means the WhatsApp is a foreground. So that is a foreground process. So what are all the things? So if the song is playing in the background or something like that, assume that that song is always running in background, means so it receives something from the internet and playing. So in that case, that is all, that is in background, but it is also considered as a foreground process. These process having the higher priority. So if you try to kill this particular system, so if the memory is so low, it is not possible to run the current foreground process. So in that case, if you try to kill the system, means automatically the current app is also crashed. So the user feel bad. So the process cannot execute their execution because it is the foreground process. So next one is a visible process. So the visible process is nothing but it is visible to the user. So that is not directly interact to the user. So it is visible. For example, it is it is visible to the user, but currently the user is interact to some other process. So that is, the activity is covered partially by another activity. So in that case, here we are having, we will see what are all the different type of life cycles are there. So in that life cycle, they have to use the on pause method. So that is, on pause method is used during the visible process. So if this is also, it is visible by the user. So if you try to kill this process, means automatically removed this process from the user visibility. So in that case also, it creates a negative impact to the user. So we try to avoid, this is also a higher priority as compared to the remaining states. So if you want to kill this one, only when the foreground process is not possible to continue their execution. So that means the visible process is nothing but the activity is that application is visible to the user. Then in that applications, we have to use some pop-up dialog, means it automatically the current activity is visible, but we have to concentrate on that particular activity. For example, if the applications needs permissions like camera access, something like that, means our application is visible, but we have to see that particular dialog box whether you have to allow to access the camera access or not. Now the user interact with that particular applications, that is whether it asks that whether the camera access is allowed or not. So the user interact with that applications. So our application is in the visible state, but the camera access in the foreground stage. So that is our activity is go to the visible state when the new activity is arrive. So if you try to kill this visible process also, it creates some of the problems. So that means it is removed from the user point of view. In that case, it is also the user feel it is bad. So the next state is a service process. So the service process is nothing but it is not visible to the user. So it is not visible to the user, but in background. So that is, it may be uploading some data, or it downloading the data, or it do some network connection, something like that. So that is called service process. So the process is in the running state, but it is not in the foreground process or in the visible process. So the process are not visible to the user of the application. So the process help the applications to perform the background tasks such as background network data upload or download, something like that. So it is lower priority than foreground process and the visible process. So if you want to remove, so it is it may be create the network may be disconnected, something like that may happen. So for example, if you want to uploading a PDF on the WhatsApp from the desktop is a service process, it is done in the background. So the user interact with some other app, it automatically doing the service. If they want to do the you want to upload from convert there, so you send to some other place, something like that, means it is done by the background. So that this service is a background, it is running in background, but it is currently in the running state. It is not visible or not interact with the user. So the next one is the background process. So the background process and the empty process is the lower priority. So the if the Android OS want to remove some process, means it automatically select the background process or empty process. So that is the background process is nothing but invisible activities and inactive services. So these two are called background process. Then inactive applications are called empty processes. So that means the background state is done with the help of the on-stop lifecycle method. So we will see what are all the lifecycle methods available. So in that case, here we will see about that is the on-stop lifecycle is mainly used for to move the process from the previous state to the background process. So here in the here a user, assume that a user use an app. Now the user want to press the home button. So if the user press the home button, the current action of the foreground state is moved to the background state. That means in the LRU catch, it will be moved from the back end of the queue to the front end of the queue. So if the user return back to that particular app, it automatically move from the foreground to background. So here I have to put some mistake. So it is moved from the foreground to the background. So in the LRU queue, it will be placed in the back of the queue. So that is for the background process. So the empty process, I already mentioned that. So that is the no active components are available in the empty process. The process may be in the background state, no resources and nothing is having in that particular state. Memory is also not available, or only a low amount of memory is available along with this process. So if the Android OS want to remove that any process, means it automatically select the empty processes. So now, so we want to know the knowledge of the process and application life cycle, then of the application, then only the developer get a good experience to develop a application development. How we have to do this? If we want to know these type of knowledges, so we will see in the following case. So assume that here we have to consider a case study. Okay, so assume that a developer developing an app. So the app want to send some data to some others. The app having some facility, that is, it is sending data and receiving, sending and receiving data. So in that case, the app want to manage, hold the session. So that want to create a session, it want to send data means it want to create a session. Then they want to using that session for sending and receiving. So if the application want to go back, so that means the background state means, so that is not visible to the user, that not providing the service, it is in the background state. So in that case, so the if it holding that particular session means automatically the battery and memory usage is high. So if we move from the foreground and visible state to background state, automatically it want to remove that session. So automatically release the session. So after again it come to the foreground session, then only it is built the session and do the rest of the operations. So for releasing the session, here we have to use the on pass method. So that is in the on pass method, so we have to do some releasing actions you have to finish. Whenever it call the on resume state, on resume function in the life cycle, so we have to again they have to build the session. So if the developer know these particular stage, when we want to remove the release the resources, when we want to use the resources, then only the battery usage and memory usage of that particular application is minimized. So here I have to take a diagrammatic representation. So assume that here you want to the application is in the foreground, so they have to create a session, so they have to sending and data and receiving some data like that. If it is a background process, it automatically release the result, that the sessions is released, then simply put it in the background process. So simply the memory is occupied only for the app, not for the resource. So now what are all the state? So that is activity states available. So that is the activity. So up to now we will know what are all the process states. So the process states are active, visible, services, background and empty. But each and every activity, so what is an activity? So if we want to create an application, so assume that what is an activity? WhatsApp is considered as one activity. Instagram, so you have to consider Instagram. So Instagram is considered as another activity. Assume that a developer developing an app, so they want to use WhatsApp, so they have to create like WhatsApp and like Instagram means activity one is a WhatsApp, activity two is the Instagram. So that is we want to know the activity state also. Then only we have to know the life cycle of the Android. So here what are all the different type of activities available means, so it is active, paused, stop and killed. So what is an activity? So the activity is nothing but a screen which is shown to the user. That means you have to, for example, if you want to find out the mark, average mark of the student or something like that, means the student name, student roll number, student mark, total, average. So these things must be visible to the user, then only the user enter some details. So that is what is the screen which is visible to the user. So that is we have to do some action. So that is called activity. So the activity already I mentioned that. So this is one activity. WhatsApp is one activity. Instagram is another activity. Now we want to know, so what is life cycle? So that is now we go for the different states apps go through what is life cycle. So this is the before going into the life cycle of app. So this is the life cycle of human being. Now we have to take, that is from child to young adult, then old man, something like that. So our human being itself, we are having the different stage. So that is, we move from the child to old. Similar to that, here also we are having different stages of life cycle. So for knowing that life cycle stages, so we have to use different methods for the activity life cycle. So that is the on create. On create is a method. So when the activity is created, so the activity is created, so it automatically called the on create method. So you have to write something, what are all the things you want to create used, or you want to initialize some resources during the on create. So after created, it automatically called the on start. Once the on start method called means that activity is visible to the user. On resume, so if the function on resume is called means the user is currently the user is ready to interact with that applications. Then we are having on pause method. On pause means it is visible but not accessed, the user is not interacting to that particular application, means it is on pause. So on stop means it is no longer visible to the particular user. So if it is in the on stop method, so see that maybe the particular process may be in the background state. So automatically we have to release what are all the resources available in the particular things. Then on restart, so in that case, that means once it is in the on stop method, so on restart means it want to collect all the things, then it want to restart. So again, it called the start and all. We will discuss how it is called and all. On destroy means you have to remove that particular activity from the memory itself. So these are all the different type of methods available in the activity life cycle. So the Android activity life cycle uses, these are all the different type of methods. So this is the Android, that is the Kotlin life cycle. So that is, once you have to launch the activity, on create, on start, on resume, it is automatically, these three is automatically called. It is not possible to see what is on create, on start and on resume. So it automatically called one after another. So after calling these three, our activity is currently running, the user is interactive. So if some other activity is come foreground, means it automatically go to the on pause stage. Once that particular activity is completed, means again go to the on resume state. So in the on pause, so if it is no longer visible our activity, means it automatically go to the on stop. So in that case, if you want to delete, that is if the memory is very low, the user, it automatically kill that process, means again it call this particular, again it is navigate to the activity, means it call the on create. So once it is killed, then only it call the on create. Otherwise in the on stop means, so you have to call on restart, again it call the on restart, on start and on resume method. Then destroy means it automatically delete. So this is different methodologies, that is different functionalities called in the activity life cycle. So this is for the simplicity, how our, if the process is new activity is initialized, means automatically call these three methods, on create, start and resume. So currently it is running. So if it is go for the visible state, it automatically call the on pause method. After completing that, it call on resume, means it is currently in the running state. If it is moved from the on paused to background state, means on stop method is called. If the background state to the running state, means you want to call these three things, on resume, on start and on restart. So if it is destroy, means it automatically remove the things. So this is also one different way how the functionality wise, if it is your activity is running, paused, stop, destroy, means what are all the functions it is called. So here visibility status, this is also the Android life cycle. When the thing is visible, when is partially visible, when it is hidden. So that is it is a resume state, it must be visible. So it is if you call paused method, means partially visible. If it is stopped, means hidden but it is available. Destroy means you have to remove the activity from the app. So here, if you want to, how we have to check these particular activity, these things means, so here, this is one of, I have to take one example, that is, we know that if you try to open a Kotlin project or something, we are having two things we want to remember. One is a main activity.kt file, another one is a XML file. So that is, in that XML file, we are having the graphical representation is available in the XML file. The KT file is a programming related things. So we want to connect both the things and we have to run. So here the here we are having the main activity.kt file. If you try to create an app, it automatically created for these things. So the only these value tag, and I have to write a function. So here I have to create one value. So here we have to declare the variable and value. So what is the difference between variable and value means? Value means it is constant. Variable means you have to change the variable, variable then and there. So here you have to use one value, that is one constant value. So this is used for the log file. So we know that the log file is nothing but what all the things we have to run. So each and everything is put it in the log file. So lot of the things available. Now I want to check what is the main activity log. So for that case, here I have to create one tag. That means here, if you create a new Kotlin project, it automatically create this particular line and these override functions, the override function on create. So I already mentioned that the method, whenever the app is activity is created, it automatically call the on create method. So these things are available. What are all the things here I have to write is this one, this particular line, val tag main activity log. So this is right in the main activity.kt file. Then I have to write these things, that is override function on start, then on start, on resume, on pause, on stop, and on restart I have to write. So what is the log.d means? Log. So in the log file, I have to display, I want to display something. .d is nothing but I want to display something. So log.d d within bracket, I have to mention the tag. So this is like a filter. So it identify main activity log. So that is, they have to mention that tag name, that is what is the main activity. This is my activity name. So I have to mention that main activity log. So here on start, what is the function names? Like that, here we have to write all the things that is within that value tag main.activity. Then I have to write all these things. So on start, on resume, on pause, on stop, on restart, on stop, and on destroy. So that means what are all the life cycle stages, that is functions available, we have to write. So here we did nothing, just you have to write some, that is display the message in the log. That's all. So now I try to run this application. So it is immediately automatically, whenever you have to create an app, so already I think we know, so it automatically create one text box, it automatically display hello world. So if you try to run this application, so it automatically display this hello world in your emulator. So but now I want to know whether it call what are all the life cycle of that. No, now in the Android application, that is in the Android this particular software, here we are having one option is called logcat. So we have to select that logcat. So in the below of the screen in our software, below of the screen we are having logcat. So we have to select this logcat. Then you have to give this, here you have to give filter name. So this filter name is nothing but main activity log. So that is nothing but main activity log. That is what is the tag name, here you have to mention this tag name, here you have to here given. So once you have to given in these particular things, once you have to run this application. So in the emulator, if it display this hello world, now you go to your software, then that is Android software. Now you have to select the logcat, then you have to, here you have to give the name main activity log. So here you have to see that main activity log on create, on start, on resume. That means we mentioned that once our application is created, immediately that is it is created and visible to the user and ready to interact, means automatically on create, on start, and on resume, all three are automatically called initially. Now we want to know what happened when we want to minimize the app. So in the emulator, you have to click the minimize button. So that means you have to click the home button or minimize the app. Here you have to click that. Then go to your software and you have to check what is the things going on automatically in the main activity log, in the logcat. So these two functions are called, that is on pause and on stop functions. That is these two functions are called. So what are all the things here you have to return? That is you have to that action. So here for the simplicity, here we have to put a display function. So if you want to do some resources, you want to release, or if you want to do something, means that things you have to write it here. So if it is restart, so here if you press a home button again, it automatically come back. So in that case, it want to call three functions. I mentioned that whenever it call on restart, it automatically call the on start, on restart, on start, on resume. So that three things it is automatically called. So it will discuss later. So now we have to take some use cases where we want to use these activities and all. So assume that now I want to create two activities. So in our application, I want to have a two activity. First activity, I want to find out the student details and all. I want to find the total and average, something like that. In the second activity sheet, another sheet, I want to display whether the student is pass or fail, something like that. So we are having more than one, any number of activity sheets may be created in the single applications having more than one activity. So now we want to know create how we have to create two activities. Whether you discussed already how we have to create two activity in a Kotlin file, whether you are having a discussion already, we know, you know, anyone? Okay, I will discuss. Okay, so now I will. So now how we have to create two activities within a Android app. So that is we will see here. That is how we have to create. That is the first use case, transaction between two activities. So if you create a new project, if you create a new project, so what are all the things you want to go? So you have to first you have to create a new project. You select a create a new project button. So it automatically display the you have to select the empty activity. So after select the empty activity, you have to press the next button. So it come to this. Here you have to give the activity name. So here you have to give the activity name you have to given. So after giving the activity name, so you have to click the finish button. So your app is created. So it takes some time. So your project is created. So actually here it is displayed. It automatically create display the hello world function name. So actually we are activity main.xml and main activity.kt. So these two files are very, very important for this. So .xml file is used for the graphical, that is display. So it concentrate on the graphical display representations are considered. Main activity.kt file is a programming related things. So now here I have to put the things. Here I have to change the name. Actually, we are having in the Android. I think previous class you discuss about the different type of layouts are available. So by in general in the Kotlin we have to use the constraint layout. So in the constraint layout means it automatically we have to mention along with the parent or along with the previous button or previous things. What are all the things available? So that is you have to along with how many distance. So from the previous button or previous text box, what is the distance from up side, what is the difference, that things we have to mention. Here we have to use two things, one is DP, another one is SP. So that is DP is nothing but that is display pixel, that is visible, that is these thing is related to display related things. If it is a text related things, here we have to use a SP. So SP is nothing but space related, that is you have to space related things for the pixel. So that two things are used, pixel related things, one is DP, another one is SP is used here. So that is you have to create a button. You have in the XML activity main.xml, you have to use two way. One way, if you know the command, so you have to directly write the Android layout underscore margin, something like that. Otherwise, if you put a button into this graphical representation, it automatically create the button. Simply you have to drag and drop, put the button here, means it automatically generate the code. So here I have to create one button and I have to put the SP. SP is a space incentive pixel. So that is here I have to mention that 24 that things. So this is automatically create one activity that is called main activity, that is main activity.kt file. Now I want to create another activity. How I have to create the another activity means, so that is you have to right click your package name, then you have to create new activity, empty activity. So you have to select new activity, empty activity means this activity 2 is automatically created. So you have to give the name for this one is empty activity. So it this activity is automatically created. That activity is put it in the Android manifest.xml. So the Android manifest.xml file is nothing but it is the main file. So it contain what all the sources we used, all the things are put it into the Android manifest.xml. So if you create the activity 2, it automatically added to this. So now in the main.activity file, you have to add one button. So what is our aim? So if we want to click this button, you have to go to the second activity. So first you want to in the Android that is Kotlin. So these lines may be not necessary for the new version of the Kotlin app. Otherwise, if it is an Android is older version, so we have to put it the connection between the graphic and the command, that is kt file connection and XML connection. We have to create what is the variable b1 is find view by id. That means that id here you have to give the name of this particular button name is button. So r is nothing but resource, id is identifier, button as button. So that is you have to create one variable here. So use that particular variable in the kt file. So now I have to, if I want to click this particular button, I want to do some action. That means I want to go to second activity. So here you have to put b1 dot set on click listener. So you have to mention that b1 dot set on click listener. That means if you want to click that particular button, we want to go to that activity. So how we have to create active that particular activity means we want to create an activity with the help of the function intent. So that is using this intent function. Here you have to pass from this current activity to move to the next activity. The activity name is activity 2. So you have to move to class dot. So that is you have to mention this is the syntax for to creating another activity. Now you have to call the function start activity intent means the main activity is go to background. Now the second activity is in the active stage. So these things you want to do for main activity dot kt file. Now you already created activity 2. 2 is already created. Once activity 2 is created, here you are having activity 2 dot kt file and activity 2 underscore the activity 2 dot xml is also created. So in the activity 2 dot xml, here you have to create one text box. I am in activity 2 and I have to create one button. So if I have to create click a button, I move to the activity 1. So in that case, here I have to give change the font size. So this is in the graphical representation. In the graphical representation, you have to using the graphical way. Here you have to give the change the font size and all. You have to change the color. All the things you have to change in the with the help of this menu itself. You have to change whatever changes you have to did here. It is automatically changed. So that is I have to change here I have to set my activity 2 is a linear layout. Here I have to set my thing is linear layout. If you have to set your layout is a linear layout means you have to mention whether the display the things is in vertical or horizontal. You have to mention. So if you put vertical means 4 buttons or 4 text boxes you have to put it means it automatically put it in one after another. So that is here I have to simply I have to put a linear layout, put it in vertical, then I have to create one text view and one button. So if you created in the graphical layout, you have to create this button and text view. Automatically these commands are added here. So that means that is for XML. Then in the activity 2.kt file also you have to create. So these things are automatically created by the application itself. If you create a new activity up to this, these things are created. Only yellow color things we want to add it. So here I have to create this button name is button 2. So here the name is button 2. So here I have to mention that b1 equal to find view by id of resource dot id button 2 as button. Now you have to click this particular b1. So in the activity 2 button 2, if I click that, I want to go to main activity. So here you have to again you have to active that particular activity with the help of this intent function. So that is you have to use main activity. This is the function for creating again active that main activity. Then start activity means control move to that. So this is the diagrammatic that is actually I have to run this particular program and take the screenshot and put it here because it take long time to run and all. So for example, this is the main activity. So here I have to have a one button activity 2. So if I click this activity 2 button, so it is go to the background state and now activity 2 is visible. Now I have to click this particular activity means the activity. So we move from the second activity to main activity. So now we will go for this again what are all the functionalities called here. So this is already we are having these functions. So on start, on resume, on pause things. Here you have to put log.d. You have to write on resume. So this is the things already available. Now here I have to add in the so I have to create one button in the XML. Then I have to use the button dot set on click listener. So I have to create intent and start activity. So it automatically create the another activity. So in the second activity.kt file also here simply I have to copy this on start, on restart and all the things. Then change the tag name. So here I have to change the tag name is second activity log. So simply I have to copy and paste all the things here. So we want to know whenever you have to call with the help of this intent, if you move from second activity to first activity, automatically this second activity is destroyed. So now you have to run the app. So this is the sample way. So that is it. Go to second activity thing is displayed. If I click that, it go to the second one. So what it happen if I try to run this app, it is displayed like this. Already we discussed first three functionality is displayed. So here I have to give, we are having two activity log. One is main activity log, another one is second activity log. So here I have to give the filter name is log. So because main activity log and second activity log things I want to know. So here if I click this in the log cat, I have to give the filter name is log. Initially your app is running, only three things on create, on start and on resume is called. Now I have to click this button. I go to the second activity. So what are all the things I want to do? So the first activity go to on pause state. That means it is visible but not accessed by the user. So now the second activity is on create, on start, on resume. These three is then once it is in the on resume state, our second activity is completely visible. First activity, main activity is not visible, means it automatically go to the on stop stage. So now I try to run and find out the log file. So these things are happen. So it is little blurring. So that is first it is on create, on start. It is taken from the screenshot and put it here. So the thing is like this. So on create, on start, on resume. That is, this is for first app running. So after clicking the button, these three on create, on start and on resume of second activity is running. Automatically here on pause and after on resume of second activity. So the first activity, main activity is go to the on stop stage. So now you have to try to press the back button in the second activity. Assume that in the second activity, you have to press a back button or you have to press a close, something like that. So now your second activity is in pause state. Then you have to, your main activity want to restart. So whenever you call a restart, it automatically calls start and resume. So on start, start, resume. Then once your main activity is resume, the second activity is go to the on stop, then it destroy. So first activity, you move from first activity to second activity, it automatically, the second activity from, you move from second to first, automatically the second is in the destroy stage. So that things, these are all the way our life cycle is running. So these things already we saw in the, if you press the screen lock button. So that is in the screen lock button, these things are not available. When the thing is running, only three things on create, on start, on resume is having. So if you press the lock button, so that is you have to minimize this particular button, means on pause and on stop is automatically called. Then again you have to unlock the button, restart, start, resume is called. So if you press the home button also, it is having the same thing. So if you try to minimize this with the help of this, then you have to resume. That means again it called the on restart, on start and on resume. So if you try to killing an app, so that means if you remove the app, something like that, means it automatically call the destroy function. So that means if you try to run this on create, on start, on resume is called. Now I have to using the minimize button and I have to click the close button. So I have to kill this particular app, means after on stop, it automatically call the on destroy function. So it automatically call the on pause, on stop and on destroy function. So here you want to setting, now these are all the things we want to know. If we want to know these things, now I have to write a program. Assume that the developer want to developing an application. So here for the developer have giving some rights to user. So if the user having only these are all the rights, only reading this particular files, it is possible to writing permission only allowed for some files, something like that, only it is possible to receive. So that is the user want to set some permissions. So that means the user want to, before start the application, the user want to set some permission for some of the resources. So that means where we want to put that. We are having different stages, on start, on stop, something like that, where we want to put this. So for that case, here we have to write one function that is called ask permission. Here also I have to write it in log.d. That means I have to display something, tag comma message ask permission called. That means here you have to write some functionalities to set resource permissions. But here assume that so if accept means you have to perform some task. If some task may be done, some of the task may not be done. So now we have the case where this particular function must be called, whether it is in onCreate or onStart method. So if we put it in onCreate method, what is the problem here? So once your app is running, if I want to go to the setting state, I have to change the setting and come back. In that case, it automatically call only the onStart method, not a onCreate method. So it is a better place if you want to setting permission, you want to set a resource permission and all, you want to put it in the onStart method. Then only whenever you have to go background or you go to settings and you have to change the setting and all, so you come back means again and again the onStart method is called. So the user want to put these type of setting permissions on all things, put it in the onStart method. Then only it automatically working correctly. Otherwise, first time it put it in onCreate method. If you put this function call means, so it once it created, once you go back and come means it is not working properly. So that things here I have to put in the onStart. Here I have to put log.t of after onStart. Here I have to call the function ask permission. So if after onStart this functionality is called, now you have to go back, go to settings and you have to change some permission. Again come back means automatically we know that go back means on pause and on stop is called. Navigate back means on restart and on start is called. Whenever on start is called, automatically the permission setting is also executed. So you have to, if the app developer want to develop an app, if you want to set some permission for some resources means you have to set the things in that you have to put it that particular resource permission setting in the onStart method is a better place for setting the permissions. So that is next one is setting login status. So that means assume that a bank application. Okay, so in that application, you have to log in and working. So if you minimize the application and come back means, so the session must be expired. So again, you want to re-login. Then only it is working correctly. It is a security one. Otherwise, it is not working correctly. So that means you minimize means it is background, it is available. Some hackers may hack our application. So in the banking related, that is a login. So here we have to, where we want to put this check login status. That means here I have to set one variable. That means I want to possible to change the values is logged in, true, logged in. So initially login is true. That means the app is running. I have to give username, password. This app is running. Currently it is true. So that is I have to check if it is true. I have to print the message whether it is true or login and log out. So I want to print this particular status. So where I have to put, so if I want to minimize the app, so that is I want to need to log out. Where I have to put. So if I put it in onStart method, so that is in the onStart method, I have to check the login status, whether it is working correctly. So if I try to put that, it is first time it is login, it is correctly. When I have to go back and again, so this variable is always true. It once again it print the logged in only. So again it print logged in only. So that is in the main activity dot logged in. It is wrong because our aim is whenever you have to minimize and again come back, we want to it print log out. So again you want to do the login and all the things. So what I want to do, so in the stop method, so we have to set is login equal to false. That means whenever it go to the background state, so whenever it go to background state, automatically it call the onStop method. So in the onStop method, you have to set this flag is login equal to false. So that means whenever you have to minimize and come back means automatically it print that is the logout. So here you will see initially your system is running, your login is true. Once you have to minimize the app and again come back, so it automatically log out. So you want to again you have to do login and possible to work. So that means if I want to login related things, so we have to use one variable, so that is true or false. So you have to use that. So in this way we have to done means our application is working correctly. So similarly, now we have to do another use case, pass a video. So if it is a YouTube, so in that case, if it is go background, again it come back means it is not possible to start it from the front. So it want to resume from the wherever we will stop. So that is for that case where we want to do that particular things means in the on pause, pause our video, in the on resume. So we have to start from that particular specific point. So that is we have to do these two things in the on pause method and on resume method. So the next one is a weather app. So if it is minimize or maximize, always if you run this particular app means it always give the latest detail. So always it produce the latest update, not possible to produce the oldest one. So in that case, here you have to check the login status. So that is here you have to use check latest temp. So I have to use these one. So where I have to call this function, always this function take the latest information from the weather. So what is the current status of the app is get it, assume that this function is get the detail something means where we want to put. So that is called this function in the onStart method. So that means whenever your app minimize or maximize, whenever it resume means it automatically call onStart, get the details of latest details and it display. That means minimize and come back means automatically we need a update, latest updates needed. So in that case, it will put these functionalities, these type of functionalities, put it in the onState method. So the developer know all the life cycles. So what are all the life cycle, in which time, which function is called and all things we will know. Then only the user put their corresponding functionalities in the corresponding functions. So that is whether I want to write some function, whether I want to release the function means where I want to put. So that things are put it in the onStart. So if it is moved to background, foreground state to background state means you have to release some resources means that things are put it in the onStop method, something like that. So depending upon, so these are all the different use cases we have to use. That is take some examples where we have to put our functionalities and all. So that's all for the Android activity life cycles. That is here I have to summarize. We want to know the process state and priority. What are all the functionalities used? So in the Android life cycle, so we know the things, then we know that the developer want to put their own functions. So depending upon the situation, depending upon the process state movement, so we have to call the needed functions then and there. Then the applications use effective memory utilization and the memory of that speed. So these things are that's all for the Android activity life cycle. So now we will move for the background process, how we have to achieve the background processes. So here in this case in the actually here we will see about what are all the coroutines. What is coroutines? So that means here the background process is achieved with the help of coroutines. So here you have to see about what is the difference between thread and coroutines. Then how you have to integrate the coroutines to your project. What is the suspended projects? Then how you have to create the coroutine with the help of these two functions we will see. So first the background process is achieved in Kotlin with the help of coroutines and threads. So two possible way to create coroutines. To create background processes. So what is coroutines? So coroutines is nothing but before understanding the coroutines, how our application is running. So now assume that our main application is running, means it is creating a one thread. That thread is called main thread. That thread is running up to the life of the applications. So that is this is called main thread. So now within the main thread, what are all the operations possible to do, means it is possible to do only the small operations. So it is possible to do only a small operations. That means UI interaction, then button click, small mathematical operations, and logical operations. So these are all the things possible to do in the main thread. So but my application want to do the lot of long operations, for example file upload, file download, network operations, database queries, something like that. Means what will happen? So it automatically all the things run in one app, means it automatically hide, that is it is hang. It is not possible to run effectively, so it automatically hang and crash something. Sometimes it may be block our main thread, because all the things are run within a single thread. So it is a bad idea. The long operations and small operations are used in the main thread itself. So now how we have to do that? So now we have to create a worker thread. So that is here you have to create one worker thread. So that worker thread is do each and every worker thread do their own job, means so after complete that work the thread may be removed. So that means the main thread only concentrate on the small operations. So for example, that means so in our application we want to do a network operation, file download, and image loading, database queries, something like that. Assume that we have to do these things. So in that case, for a single applications, we have to create 4 background threads. Each and every thread is running different time. Each and every one is running, all are try to run in parallel. So in that case, our app is automatically slow. That means that may be hang. So that is also heavy load. The system may be crash if you try to run more number of background threads in a single application. So how we have to achieve this? This is achieved. This is also if you run more number of thread in background, means it automatically go to the background, that is out of memory, our system is crashed. So how we have to come from this? So this is also a bad idea. So that is the best example. Here we have to use coroutines. So coroutines is the best example how we have to different from the coroutines and thread. So in the coroutine, we have to, instead of all the things, that is here they have to create only one background thread. So all the coroutines are try to run in a single thread. So that is in a single thread, more number of coroutines are possible to run. In a single thread means automatically the memory usage of our application is automatically reduced. So it use effective way, because you have to create only one thread. Within the thread you have to create coroutines and run. So in that case it is effectively run our application. So what is coroutine? So the coroutine is nothing but coroutine is a lightweight thread. Actually, we have to define the thread is a lightweight process. So here the coroutine definition is a lightweight thread. So it is like a thread, it is running parallel, interact with each other, and all the things are done like a thread. But coroutine and thread is not equal. So it is very, very cheap. It is almost free. So now how to use coroutines? So now we will see how to use coroutines. So first I have to write a Kotlin in the normal program. So you know how you have to write a program and all. So here I have to write, that is actually I want to add this import function, that is kotlin.concurrent.thread. So I want to add that. So in the function main, simply I have to print the thread name. What is the current thread? So if I try to put this and I have to try to run, so it print the thread name is main, because only already we mentioned that the first thread you have to consider this is a main thread. So if you try to run this, automatically it display the main thread. So now you have to, how you have to create a thread like this. So how you have to create your own thread in the program. So
Hello, ma'am.
yes, sir.
Ma'am, would you please repeat that how that out of memory problem is solved using for routine, the previous slide?
Previous slide. Okay. So actually, this
Ah,
one. Mm.
yeah, that one.
Okay, okay. Sir, actually, so if you try to run so if we assume that you are having an app like this, so automatically it create only one thread. So in this case, it automatically create only one thread in this case. So that is, you have to run a single program, single application. It create only one thread. That thread is called main thread. So this main thread is
Okay.
main thread is possible to do only a small operations. That means UI interaction, button click, or mathematical operations. So if you do these things means, so it is working smoothly. If you
Okay.
want to do a long operation, that means network operation, file upload or download, image, database queries, something like that. So if you do this, it is possible to run within a main thread to do all the operations. So in that case, our system is crash or hang. So how to avoid this? You have to create a thread. These things is already known in Java, C++ itself. If you want to run more number of, that is, you want to do parallel means you have to create a thread and do. So for that case, you have to create a thread for each and every app. That means you have to create each and every operations. If you try to create a thread means, so that is here you have to create one thread for network operation, other thread for file download, upload, something like that. So this is possible. So this is like a C++ and Java. So, but if you create more number of thread in the main thread, so this is also more number of thread for a single app means it automatically use the memory usage is high. The processor is also used maximum utilization. So in that case, it create a heavy load and system is crash.
Okay.
So for this case, it is I go for out of memory. It is a bad idea. So for this case, we go for coroutine.
Okay.
Okay. So okay. So now how the coroutine is working means, in the coroutine, it is possible to create a single thread. Within a single thread, with the help of coroutine, so most longer functions are running then and there within the single thread. So in that case, only two thread is running in our app, but the background thread using all the long operations whenever it is needed. So that means the load of this particular app is minimum. Automatically, it is the memory utilization and speed is increased for our application. Is it clear, sir?
Okay. Now the flow is clear, but I want to ask one question in this.
Ah,
If only two threads we create, main thread and background thread,
background thread.
right?
Hmm.
In that case, whatever happened in earlier case that we are appending this coroutine works in main thread, that we are now append in background thread, right? So is
Ah,
it not possible to have heavy load on background thread, and that thread all itself takes much memory? Is it not happen?
actually, this is run after completing. That is, these all things are not run parallel. So after completing file upload only, it do file download. So that means the thread creation time and thread removing time is also reduced if you use a single thread then and there. So for that purpose, so that is, it is use time slice manner. So first time slice using the coroutine 1. So if two things is run parallel, so first coroutine use first slice, second coroutine use second slice, something like that. So it is like a Unix operating system like that. That means using a
Okay.
single thread, it is possible to use all the functionalities.
Okay. Okay. So the thread creation and termination
The
time, I think that
termination
will
time is
save,
also, yes, that will also saved.
because the time slash manner is also applicable in if we are
Applicable,
attaching that process on main thread, that will be equally applicable over
yes,
there,
yes, that
right?
is also applicable, yes.
Right. But I think the thread creation time is reduced, so
Yes,
it will create the performance, I think.
automatically increase the performance, yes.
Right. Right. Now it's clear. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank
Thank you.
you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So now we go for how to use coroutine. So that is assume that before how you have to create a coroutine, how you have to create a thread. So thread is created with the help of these thread function. That is thread function. So that means the main itself is created separately. It is run in the main thread. So here the thread means it automatically create a name of a new name for the this particular thread, and it is run in parallel. So now you have to take this example. This is the output of that. So that is here I have to put background thread start. That is here I have to put background thread start. So the name is thread 0. Hi start. So here please see this. Both are creating, but it give the time slice for this particular thread first. So it print the background thread start. Then after that only, so it wait for 100 milliseconds, something like that. This is also executed parallelly. Main and this particular thread 0 both are executing and print like this. So now how we have to create, so now here you have to create a simple example for using coroutine. So that is the previous case is to create a thread, how you have to create a thread with the help of this thread function. So within that you have to create what are all the functionalities you have to needed, you have to put it here. Here I have to put thread.sleep, that is nothing but that is here you have to do some actions. Assume that if many actions are there, here you have to put it here. Okay, so now how we have to create a coroutines, that is how we have to create the coroutines. Before creating the coroutines, so here I am having a function main. I have to call two function, task1 and task2. So the task1 here I am having single print function, and task2 is also single print function. If I try to run this particular functions from the main, I have to call task1 and task2. So it simply print welcome Kotlin. So this is not a coroutine and all. It is a simple program. So it is having a two functionalities, task1 and task2. So now we are having the coroutine functions are having the name syntax, that is you want to start with the suspended. So using the keyword suspended, that is considered as a coroutine function. So now here I have to use the keyword for the task2 is suspended. So I try to run this particular program, it produces the error message. So that is we have to expecting a top level declaration. So what it means, so I try to convert this particular task to a coroutine function. How I have to convert to the coroutine functions means I have to the functions coroutine functions are start with the keyword suspended. So I try to convert this function into a coroutine function. In that case, it produces the error. So what is the problem in this? So all the coroutine functions are called only within the coroutine. So how we have to define the coroutines means, that means you have to use this particular keyword global scope, and another one is runner, that things we will discuss later. So that is global scope is one keyword, that is using that keyword you have to define call any function. That means, so that is within the coroutine global scope dot launch, within that only it is possible to call task2. So what is the purpose of this? Here you have to task2 is a coroutine function. So the coroutine functions are called within the coroutine only. So the coroutines are defined with the help of the global scope dot launch. So you, with the help of this keyword, I have to call this task2, then task1. So here I have to call, I may put it the task 2 is in the coroutine. So this is a coroutine function I have to mention with the help of this global scope dot launch. So now I have to call task 2. Task 2 is a coroutine function. So it is starting with a suspended. So it is possible to call this function with the help of this keyword global scope. So here I have to put one delay. That means here I have to do some actions. Then print ln of Kotlin. Now I try to run this program. It will only print the task 1 value welcome. So what is the problem here? Why it is not print the Kotlin means actually the main thread is created. It run the function task 1. So once it created this is for the say another thread that is a backend thread. So in the backend thread, once it is created, before call this function, our first main thread is completed their work. If the main thread is completed means it's not possible to do the second thread, that is background thread. Background thread is only available when the main thread is active. So for that case, here I have to put some thread.sleep of 2000 L in the task, that is in the main function. That means after completing my task 1, my main thread, that means our virtual machine want to wait to complete the main thread up to 2 seconds. So that is 2000 L is nothing but 2 seconds thread.sleep here we have to use. So here I have to use 100 L delay with the help of the delay function. So now if you run this particular program, so what it happen? It print welcome and Kotlin. How it is happen after completing the task 1, our main thread is waiting. So it is try to wait up to 2L. During that time, our background thread is completed their job. So it print the Kotlin. So that is that things are happen. So what is the difference between the delay function and thread function? So that is thread.sleep means it is simply block the thread. Current thread is wait, no actions are done up to this 2 seconds. But in the delay function means, so this particular coroutine is stopped. If any remaining coroutines running in the same thread means it allow that particular coroutines to use this particular thread. In that particular time slice time, it is possible to use that particular thread. But in this task 2 time only, it is not possible to use. That is the difference between the delay and thread.sleep. Then we know we think why it is not possible. So this is an the difference between the delay versus thread.sleep. So thread.sleep means up to the 100 millisecond, this thread is blocked. It's not possible to do any actions. But in the delay functions, so we know you want to know the delay function is possible to use only within the suspended function. It is possible to use only within the suspended function. So assume that I am having a back thread. So the back thread is possible to run C1, C2, C3. Their own all 3 coroutines are running parallel, something like that. Only C1 thread is suspended for 100 millisecond. The C2 and C3 is running their own time slice. So that is the difference between the delay and time thread.sleep. But the delay is only possible to use within the coroutine function, not possible to use in the normal function. So that is only possible to use within the delay function. So here I have to run the program along with the thread name. So that is welcome is print along welcome. Here the print name is main, thread name is main. So the Kotlin, next one is I have to print the Kotlin. The thread name is dispatcher worker 1 at coroutine 1, something like that. So this is the first coroutine along with this particular thread name is worker 1. So what is the purpose of suspend modifier and suspending function? So that is suspend modifier and suspending function is nothing but it is used to write a coroutine function is write along with the keyword suspend. That's all. So that is it is another one important thing is this functions is not possible to call outside the coroutine. So the coroutine only called these particular type of functions. So here I have to try to write a program. So if I want to use this thread that is delay function in the outside the things means what it happened here another coroutine is nothing but run blocking. So you have to using the keyword run blocking. So that is also that is a coroutine. So it is used to, if you want to use a delay in the normal function, means you have to using this run blocking keyword, means you have to use this particular delay function instead of thread function. So that is, you have to use two things. One is run blocking. So what is the difference between the run blocking and global scope means? So the run blocking means it is block the thread. It not possible to use that particular thread in some other coroutines. So that is not allowed in the run blocking keyword. If you use a run blocking keyword, if the particular thread having more than one coroutines, so it is not possible to allow another coroutine to run using this keyword if you create a background thread. So if you create global scope.launch, with the help of this, if you create a thread, so it automatically allow another functions, that is another coroutines to run this. So you have to use this delay function along with the only the coroutine functions. If you use run blocking in the main, so within the main itself, you have to using the run blocking, means you have to create your main thread itself is a coroutine. So in that case, if you create your main thread itself is coroutine, means you have to use the delay function within the function main also. Okay, so in this way, we have to create in the Kotlin, we have to use a coroutine. You have to do your background job. So that's all for the Android, that is our background things and all. If you have any doubts, please ask.
Thank you, ma'am. Participants, if you have any queries, you can ask now.
Thank you.
And we have a query from Sachin. What is the difference between on resume and on pass event?
On resume means whenever you are in active state, that means the user ready to interact. At that time, the function is called on resume. On stop means whenever you go to the background, so that means in that case you want to release some of the resources, something like that. So if your process is go to the background, that means not visible to the user. At that time, it is go to the background, that is on stop is called. So the function is automatically called by the Android app itself. It is automatically called these type of functions. So if we know the functionality of these functions, so you know where we want to put our own functions. If you want to release the resources when our processes go to background, means you have to that release function code is put it in the on stop method. So whenever you want to create, you want to check the status of each and every resources, means you have to put that in the on start method. Okay. Is it clear?
Participants, any other queries?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Ma'am, while explaining the visible process, you gave one example that if we need to have the access to the camera, the permission is being asked.
Yes.
That
So
comes under visible process. Ma'am, suppose we are working in the application and we are just closing it without saving. That time we also have a dialog box which prompt us to save the application.
that
Is
is
that also a visible process?
no, that is you have to write, isn't it? That is in your app itself, you have to write something. So
Okay.
that if you have to write your activity, something like that, means that is our own things.
Okay.
So that is if two apps are running, one app is foreground. So for example, if I want to go to some other thing, some other app or something like that, background is visible, but it do some other actions. So for example, you have to open a Word. So the Word file is open. So you have to use notepad or something. So within the small size, something like that. So you have to use notepad, but word in the background, word is visible.
Okay.
So that time it is in the visible state, but you have to access only notepad.
Okay. And ma'am, the uploading and the downloading processes, they both are under service process?
Yes, both are a background process. So
Okay.
file uploading and downloading both are take long time. What are all the
Okay.
things they take long time, that is in background.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Participants, any other queries? Okay, ma'am, I think the queries are over. And thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. But I hope participants got the clear view about your Android lifecycle and background tasks. Thank you for sparing your valuable time with us, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for the patient listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And participants kindly join at 11:30 for our next session.